Hello, I'm Shelley and I work in the employment team at Vinters. One of my particular focus areas is HR data. In this role, I advise employers about how they should process the data of their workforce in a fair way and in compliance with relevant laws and requirements. Since the start of the pandemic and the rise of staff working outside of their traditional workplace, employers have faced many challenges in this respect. For example, how to ensure the security of HR data when it is largely being processed outside of the office, how to deal with the increased risk of data breaches, and dealing with the data implications of employees relocating outside of the UK. As we approach Freedom Day on 19th July, and the realistic prospect that going forward, many employers will be operating some form of hybrid working arrangements, HR practitioners are once again encouraged to assess the impact of this on how they process HR data. One question that we are often asked is the extent to which employers can monitor their staff, be that in the traditional workplace or whilst they are working from home. This video is designed to help answer that question by looking at 5 specific things that employers need to consider. Point 1. Can the monitoring be justified? Yes, monitoring can take place, provided it is proportionate. So what exactly does this mean? The Information Commissioner's Office takes the view that a degree of monitoring is an expected part of the employment relationship. Fundamentally, monitoring is not expressly prohibited, but there are legal issues to consider, particularly where it might intrude into an employee's private life or interfere with the relationship of mutual trust and confidence, which is an implied term in all employment contracts. Broadly speaking, the balance needs to be right, meaning that the impact on the employee will need to be justified and proportionate to any legitimate factors applicable to the employer or other relevant parties. If the employer considers monitoring to be justified, what steps should be taken before the monitoring begins? Points 2 to 5 will look at these issues. Point 2, lawful ground. Any form of monitoring will involve processing personal data. As such, employers must be able to rely on a lawful ground for processing that data. In most cases, the lawful basis that an employer will rely on is legitimate interest. Accordingly, it is strongly recommended that employers complete a legitimate interests assessment, or LIA, to document their rationale for the proposed monitoring. The purpose is to demonstrate that the employer's need for the monitoring does not outweigh the rights of the employees. Data Protection Impact Assessment. It is also advisable for employers to complete a separate Data Protection Impact Assessment, or DPIA, which will show that they have considered the issues and documented the decision-making process. Point 4. Consider the impact of monitoring on staff engagement. Whilst not necessarily a legal consideration, employers might want to consider the extent to which monitoring could backfire. It could lead to negativity, which may have an impact on productivity and engagement. Depending on the culture of the workforce and the type of work undertaken, trusting employees will do what they need to do, and giving them autonomy to do it might lead to better outcomes. Point 5, tell staff about what monitoring is taking place. Where a decision is made to introduce any form of monitoring, transparency will be key to balancing the rights of employees and protecting the relationship of trust and confidence. Employees should be told exactly what type of monitoring is taking place, the purpose behind this, and how the data will be processed. This information is typically set out in a staff privacy notice. So, those are our top 5 points that employers will need to consider. For more information about employee monitoring, please visit our website for our full article on this subject. Alternatively, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or my colleagues with any particular questions you may have in this area. As always, we'd be delighted to help you navigate this complex area.